Micro brews, dude.
Dude. Craft Brews and Casual Conversations. Sans the Brew today. Joined with me this week is a very special guest from the Reviewing History podcast, along with being one of the a part of the most prestigious community of all time, in my opinion, the Tell 'em Steve Dave town community. We'll talk a lot about it. But Brian Ruppert is here.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, and I was pretty pumped about the opportunity. Big time ant, a long time ant. I love Tell 'em Steve Dave. I love everything about it. You do a lot of the behind the scenes kind of work with the audio, with the video stuff. And is it predominantly for the Patreon?
I'll say 95%. Like, there's some stuff I do which goes completely public. Like, we'd have a Black Friday commercial for this year's Black Friday special dropping in like a week. So that, that is going to be something that's public. I did the Baron for President commercial, which was public. I've done a couple of the filmed, like, in canon numerical TSD episodes, but they don't make too many like that. So most of my work is behind the paywall. So I was a big Kevin Smith fan. That's kind of what got me going and making movies and like kind of pursuing that path in life. And then he started podcasting, and podcasting was pretty new, and I would just listen to All Smodcast. And when I caught up on All Smodcast, I was like, well, what can I listen to next? And I was like, oh, Tell 'em Steve Dave. They're connected to Kevin, and they've been on the show. I like them. I'll just listen to this and see how it goes. And before you knew it, I was completely hooked, and it surpassed Kevin's work as far as podcasting. And I was like, this is the greatest podcast of all time. This is like the best thing in the history of the world. So I latched onto it very quickly. And, I would, like, whenever they would do a live show in the area, I would go. I was a big ant, but, I didn't have any personal connections or anything like that. And it's funny. My 20s were a very rough time period for me. I was really depressed. Nothing was going the way it should. And then I turned 30 October 2017. And that October, like October 1st, I started talking to Walt, and, Walt put out a thing on Twitter, or Bri, one of them. Can anybody in the New York, New Jersey area do green screen? And I had just graduated college like a week or two earlier. So I was like, okay, I'll shoot my shot. And I sent a list of all my credentials, everything I've done. I was like, I'm in Staten Island. I'm a huge ant. I would love to be a part of this. And Walt was like, come down to the studio, not the studio, the comic store at the time. They were at 35 Broad Street, the second stash. And I went down, I met with Walt, and I brought some of my guys with me, and we measured stuff out. We kind of did a whole pre-planning session as to what the Halloween special was going to be that year. And Walt wanted a green screen special. He had this idea to do the boys would go to hell to save the Baron's soul. The Baron is a character he does on the show, and it's a whole thing. And we shot that special October 20th, 2017. It was my 30th birthday, and I spent it shooting a Tell 'em Steve Dave special, which was like a surreal and cool way to kickstart my 30s. And then me and my friends that helped me, we went out after. Steve helped me, who's my co-host on Reviewing History, along with Anthony, but he wasn't there for this part. And my friend Pat, he's the P-man. He's also on Reviewing History sometimes. They helped me out. We went out to eat for my birthday after. And right after that, it was like, okay, we have 11 days to turn in this special now because we have to get it out before Halloween. So that started the next grind of the post-production process and getting a big green screen special done in 11 days. And for me, I had Steve edit it because I wasn't editing my footage yet. But the real, crazy part about it was that Steve still had to work, and I wasn't capable of editing at the time. So I had Steve do the editing, and I would work his shifts for him because we both worked at a restaurant. And I would cover his shift and just give him the money so he could keep editing and getting the project to where Walt liked it. And it came out. I think it really went over well with people. I think they liked it. And then after that, I really wanted to be a part of Christmas because there's nothing to me like a Tell 'em Steve Dave Christmas. I love the Christmas pods. They're my favorite thing they do. I re-listen to every single one every year. I'm in the middle of this year's re-listen. I just finished 2015, so the next one's 2016. Usually I wait till Black Friday, but there's getting so many I have to start earlier. So I love the show, and I'm emailing Walt. I'm like, let's do this for Christmas. I have this idea. We'll put a green screen behind you guys, and you could be in a sleigh, and I'm pitching this crazy shit. And he's like, yeah, well, we'll see. And it doesn't happen. And then Comic Book Men ends, and they're like, we're going to do a Patreon. And they contacted Chuck, I assume, and Chuck was going to be involved. And then they contacted me, and me and Chuck were going to alternate the video duties for the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon. And that was it. And then I started working for them ever since, so I've been with them in some capacity since 2017.
That's amazing, man. And yeah, I would say like my pathway to Tell 'em Steve Dave is pretty similar to I was a big Kevin Smith fan, I actually kind of like discovered who they were through Comic Book Men. I think it was on Netflix for a while. All of a sudden I just throw it randomly on, and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh, Kevin's in it. And then I really gravitated towards Walt, towards Brian, and then I would always listen to Smodcast and all that stuff too. So then I started listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave, got absorbed into it, and unfortunately I'm the only one in my friend group that listens to the podcast, and I'm just like, I wish I could talk to people about this. I wish I had, there's the Reddit that's, I don't really participate in that too much. There's that Facebook group. I don't say too much in there either, but yeah, it's crazy. And then you get like connected with these, essentially that, like they're all strangers to me, but I feel like I know them so well. And I look forward to it every week, usually Sunday or Monday, the regular show comes out, and then the Patreon stuff comes out on Tuesdays, which is always a really good start of the week. Especially I work in the world of education, so Mondays and Tuesdays can be rough days. And then
I'm a teacher too.
Okay, yeah, so I'm in kind of like in an admin role right now, but formerly special ed teacher. So like it's those days can be a little grueling sometimes. So it's always good to have that. But yeah, awesome being a fellow educator. But so you're here to talk a little bit about the big Black Friday, which is the Christmas episode that's coming out. Do you want to talk about, you give the details on it? I know it has a pretty special thing this time.
So the Tell 'em Steve Dave Christmas special this year is dropping Black Friday at midnight. And all of that money, 100% of the proceeds, are going to the Juarez family. Victor Juarez is a member of the TSDAV club. Me, him, and Chuck are basically the three video guys who do all the videos you see on Patreon if you're a Tell 'em Steve Dave listener. And, his family is on hard times and they need some money, so they're getting all the Christmas money this year. That's the Tell 'em Steve Dave Christmas album. Our Christmas podcast. I'm on it this year. So is Chuck and a whole bunch of other guests I don't want to spoil. But when you see the cover art, if you look at it closely, you'll see everyone who's on there. And the thing that I'm really promoting is my podcast, Reviewing History. We're a comedy history podcast. We watch movies based on true stories. We tell you what's real and fake in them as we have a laugh. It's a good time. And every year, well, actually, this is only the second year, but last year we had a full Christmas podcast called This Ain't No Whack Christmas, and half of the money from that podcast went to St. Jude. It also came with a podcast covering It's a Wonderful Life. This year we looked around and we were like, what's the most needy charity? And we looked at the company bank account and we decided we were the most needy charity and we desperately need to get in the black. So hosting fees and all that, it chipped away without us paying attention to it. So this year, it's not for St. Jude, but it is for us. The name of it is called The Christmas Freak Off. It's going to drop on Bandcamp Black Friday at the stroke of midnight, just like the Tell 'em Steve Dave one. You don't have to pick between the two. You can get both. I promise you'll enjoy ours. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of Tell 'em Steve Dave alumni on it that come and play games. It's just like a Tell 'em Steve Dave Christmas pod. I modeled the show after it because I love it so much. So it's me playing Walt, doing my version of that. And there's different games and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of fun. And we also did another pod covering Die Hard. We went through Die Hard top to bottom, and we talked about it for an hour. So for $5 for the Christmas Freak Off, you're getting 4 hours of content for $5. And I think it's all pretty funny and enjoyable. I laughed so hard I was crying at times. I can't recommend it enough. You can go on bandcamp.com. You can follow the Reviewing History page. You'll get alerts when it drops. There's also going to be a bundle with both albums, and the St. Jude one. Half of that money will always go to St. Jude, no matter if you buy it in the bundle or regular. We will always honor that. It's called The Christmas Freak Off. It takes place in December 2023, immediately after last year's Christmas pod. The premise is we are going to a Diddy Freak Off in December 2023. What could go wrong, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I like the Christmas pod and the ideas of that too. I've never seen Die Hard, by the way.
You've never seen Die Hard? Oh man, I highly recommend
it. And it's I think Bruce Willis himself confirmed it. It is a Christmas movie.
I think it's a Christmas movie. We have the debate as we're doing it. And I think it goes in a funny direction by the end of the argument.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's awesome. Yeah, you're benefiting. Well, you can St. Jude's if you get the old one, and then this year, yeah, podcasting is expensive, man. This shit, like it racks up quick.
I mean, the hosting fees for the website, running all this stuff, it adds up over time, and like having like a Riverside or a StreamYard or something like that, just before you know it, you've had it 2 years, and if you're paying, let's say, $30 a month over 2 years, before you know it, you're like, holy shit. And, most podcasts don't have enough coming in to cover that. And that's kind of the position we're in right now, where we're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that definitely happens. But give the history a little bit about Reviewing History. So you're about like 132 episodes in so far?
Yeah, we just dropped 132 this week. The way the show came about was me and Anthony and Steve, the three hosts. We had a podcast over 10 years ago called The Howard Carter Hour. No one would ever listen to it. It got like 20 plays an episode. I don't know who the hell those 20 people were, but there was like 20 people listening to it. And after like 100-something episodes, we were just like, let's call it, guys. It's dead. And we killed the show. It went away. And then I started to get an itch a couple of years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago now. And I was like, hey, guys, I have an idea for a new podcast. Let's get together every week, and we all bring a historical subject to the table, and we'll riff on it, and we'll talk about history, and we'll just have a good time and laugh and joke. And Anthony was like, let's do a historical movie instead. And Steve agreed, and I was like, sure. And we alternated, and we do the best. So we do best of both worlds. Once a month, we do what's called a pick episode, where we each bring random history to the table and talk about that, answer emails, and then at the end of it, we pick the next 3 movies we're going to cover. It's like anybody can jump on. Each one of them is a great jumping on point. If you've never heard the show before, we'll tell you what's coming up next, and it's generally more fan-friendly podcasting. The other ones are movie episodes, where we go through a movie based on a true event, and we tell you what's real and fake in it as we joke around and bust balls. And I honestly think a lot of the times you don't need to have seen the movie, because we walk through it beat by beat mostly. So you kind of hear the story. I think it always helps if you see the movie, but I don't think it's necessary completely.
Are these movies that you've seen before, or is it sometimes you're watching it for the first time?
Sometimes the first time, sometimes I've never heard of it. Last year for December, I wanted to try to find a Hanukkah movie, because I like to tie episodes into different holidays or whatever, and I was like, all right, so we're doing a couple of Christmas movies that are based on true stories. Let's look and see if there's a Hanukkah movie, because I know that they've always talked about making one and like there were ideas for it. And I found that there was one Hanukkah movie made, and it's a shitty Italian movie from the 1960s called The Old Testament. And they changed the actor's name to like Rick Heston. So when you look at the poster, it says Heston, and it's like a vaguely blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy that they're trying to pretend is Charlton Heston. And it's a complete garbage movie. But I just watching something like that and talking about it, I think is so interesting because, like, I looked at the Letterboxd. I'm a big Letterboxd user. It's a movie logging website. If anybody hasn't heard of it, you go and you log and review what you watch, and you could see what your friends watch as well. That movie had only been watched like maybe 100 times throughout all of Letterboxd before like I watched it. Like it was like a ridiculously low number. So it's like a super obscure movie, but it's on YouTube. You can watch it. I think it's a piece of shit, but it is interesting to see something like that be made.
Yeah, my co-host is really into obscure old movies like that as well, and he'll try to have conversations with me about it, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, or like why he would have any interest. He's really like fond of this movie called The Bicycle Thief, which is like I think it's an Italian movie as well. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
I know it. I've never seen it though, but I do know the movie.
Yeah, and it's just like he's gone on some deep rants about it, and I'm like, that could be a true story. I had many bikes stolen from me back in my life, but yeah, that's awesome, dude. Kudos to you for doing the work and for getting it all accomplished. As far as like, so I've been doing this podcast, I think, for like 7 years now. I have a little bit of a radio background. I do some local radio stuff where I live as well in Wisconsin, but I really suck at.
Are you a Packers fan?
Hell yeah, dude. Who do you
Thanks
like?
for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I mean, it's been to our benefit, I feel like.
Oh, I mean, we took Brett Favre from you. It didn't work. We took Aaron Rodgers from you. It didn't work. In 20 years, we're going to take Jordan Love from you, and spoiler, it won't fucking work because we're the goddamn Jets, and nothing can ever work. We can never have any sort of happiness.
You have a lot of old Green Bay players now currently on the roster as well.
We did everything but sign Bakhtiari and get Antonio Freeman out of retirement. It's
yeah, I do. I mean, being a Packer fan is nice and it's enjoyable, but there's always the end. It's never the end result that you want, obviously. But usually we get crushed by the San Francisco 49ers at some point. That just ends all of our hope. We play them this weekend, so I think, and half their team is injured, so maybe we have a chance, which is good. But yeah, you got to be a Packer fan if you're in the great state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard to be like a Bears fan living in Wisconsin.
There's plenty of them. And it's got to be super disappointing. I really thought they were going to lose. Packers were going to lose this last week, but thankfully you got the tip and it was in, and it was a beautiful moment for me.
The Bears are like the Jets, but slightly better because they've been to a Super Bowl in the past 50 years and they've won one, where it's like, I know the Jets are a terrible franchise, and like I think they're the worst franchise in all of sports. I just need to see it one time, fold the franchise after that, go away. I never need to watch another game. I just want to see it one time before I leave the earth. I'm not a greedy person. I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't need 7. I don't need 8. I don't need a perennial contender. I just want to see it one goddamn time. That's it.
So are the Jets the typical choice in like the New York area versus the Giants?
Nah, more people are Giants fans because they've actually won a couple times, Like the Jets, it's so rare where they're actually good. That the Giants just have a bigger fan base. Plus, they're an older franchise, so you have great grandparents who are Jets fans, and people weren't really Jets fans until like Joe Namath came around, which is basically when the team started. So you're already trying to fight a legacy. It's hard to make. I mean, they're a popular franchise. Like if you just added up millions of fans, there's probably more Jets fans overall than like a lot of other fan bases, but definitely not the most popular team in the area.
It's nice to be in a big state like New York because you have choices. You have like even in I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but you got the Nets, you got the Knicks. Wisconsin, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. I love the Milwaukee Bucks. They're shit in the bed this year, and it's a huge disappointment. But they won a championship not that long ago. Whereas
that's what I was gonna say. Didn't they just win?
Yeah, like it was like 3 years ago. I think 2021. So not too bad. Which I'll enjoy it. I'll take another Packer Super Bowl in my life, and then I think I'll be content. But it's if you ever make it to Wisconsin, I don't know if you've been to Wisconsin, but if you can come, it's a beautiful state.
I actually would love to go to Wisconsin. Like I would love to go to a game in Lambeau in September. I don't want to go in like December, January. I want to go to like a September Lambeau game, and I'd love to see the Brewers Stadium. What was it, Miller Field?
It used to be called Miller Park, but then they changed it to American Family Field, unfortunately. American Family just dominates in Milwaukee for whatever reason now. It's unfortunate. But,
I don't even know what that company is.
Insurance.
Okay.
But yeah, so to me, it'll always be Miller Field. Like I'd love to go there, see the slide and the wiener races and all that. Like there's a lot of cool shit. Like I want to see the Fonzie statue. I love the Midwest overall. Like I just find it to be like a fascinating part of the country. I went to Chicago in 2010 or 11. And it was my favorite city I've ever been in the country. I fucking loved it. And I went in January too. It was cold, but I don't know. I just really liked the area and like the architecture. I just thought it was a really cool place.
It's awesome. I enjoy Chicago. The last time I went there was for Riot Fest a handful of years ago. And it's it was a lot of fun, and it's a great city. It really is. And Milwaukee's similar in that regard. We have pretty big music festivals in the summer, and it's a cool place to explore. I don't live too far from Milwaukee, which is ideal. So I've hung out with the Bronze Fonz before. He's a nice little creature. It's pretty short though. I don't know if Henry Winkler's really that short or not, but the statue is pretty small.
I don't know how tall Henry Winkler is, but he's also old now, so he shrunk a little. How tall is like the statue? Is it like Jimmy the Hair Guy height, like 4'11", or is it like above that?
It might be. I'm 6 foot, and I feel like I was pretty towering over the thing, so it might be a Jimmy the Hair Guy. That's for sure. I saw recently he's gonna be selling those 8x10s on Black Friday. I'm not gonna buy those, but those look to be pretty funny, which is cool. Are you gonna be at the general store for Black Friday?
I will be at the general store all like Thanksgiving night Thursday. I will be there all day Friday, and I will be there most of the day Saturday. I might be like an hour late, but I'll be here the whole time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely on my bucket list to get out. I'd love to see New York as well. I'm trying to find people to somehow get a connection so I can run the New York Marathon next year, but I don't know if that's possible. I don't have enough pull to get in through the application process. So I was like, I know some people that know some people in New York, and I was like, hey, maybe I could slide in that way. And that's my ticket in.
I'm going to sound like an idiot right now. I thought anybody can run the New York Marathon.
Anybody can. You have to apply for it. So only certain people get in. But the biggest way to get in is if you have some sort of sponsorship. Because like all these companies get like certain numbers of bibs and stuff like that they can give out to athletes, or usually like famous people take their bibs. So like, any celebrity you see is like a sponsored bib. But I would love to do it. It just probably will never happen.
You got to go to American Family. Be like, you sponsor everything else in Wisconsin. Why not me?
Yeah, exactly. Get something like that going on. But stop at the general store is definitely on on the bucket list to see as just being a long time listener, and I'd love to see the prestige that is Get 'em Steve Dave and everybody like that.
Seeing Get 'em is always a wonderful sight. He's here right now. He's waving at me. Yeah, I brought my dog with me. I don't know if you could see him on the Zoom just popping his head in. But I think for any Tell 'em Steve Dave listener, if you are ever going to come down to the general store, the time to do it is Black Friday weekend. It is going to be your best chance to actually meet people, and you could meet almost every resident of TSD town in 1 or 2 days. It's such a rare opportunity that you're going to be able to do that where everyone is here that, I don't think you could pass it up.
Eventually, one day, once those teacher salaries, they're not too great. So you got to eventually get them, especially if you have kids. But I look forward to it, and I look forward to the reviewing history Black Friday episode. I'm really looking forward to the Tell 'em Steve Dave Black Friday episode as well. So it's going to be great. How can people get caught up with everything with reviewing history, and how can they access you and all your projects?
Everything with Reviewing History, you can go to Reviewing History bod. You don't want the Reviewing History bod, trust me. You can go to reviewinghistorypod.com. We have, we're everywhere podcasts are, Spotify, YouTube, all that. You can subscribe everywhere, Apple. Check it out there. I think it's a fun show to listen to. And if you just want to drop in because you know a movie or you're interested in hearing about a subject, it's a great spot to do. YouTube, we have 10-minute videos we put up with a little less content. Bandcamp.com is where you want to be for our bonus content right now. You'll get alerts when it drops. You could just hit follow. You get a nice, gentle email when it drops. It's not a spam thing. And you'll find out when we're releasing new bonus content on Bandcamp, which happens once a year. So, and we're on all social media at RView History Pod on Twitter, Reviewing History Pod everywhere else. I'm on all social media at Brian Ruppert with 2 P's. I'm also on Letterboxd, the movie site I talk about. I rank and review every single movie I watch, even the ones in my personal life. And you could kind of see what I thought of almost any movie I've seen since I got a Letterboxd, which I love that there's a chronicle of what I thought of a movie. Or if I'm like, what was the name of that movie I saw a couple of years ago? I could go to Letterboxd and I'm like, oh, there it is in the list, and I could find the name.
Yeah, absolutely. People rip on me a lot because I'm pretty notorious for whatever reason. I haven't seen all these classic movies that people talk about. So Die Hard's one of them. I haven't seen it. I didn't see The Breakfast Club until my later 20s. I didn't see The Goonies till my later 20s. Caddyshack and all that too. And there is.
Did you like Goonies?
No, I didn't.
So that's a thing going on Twitter right now where there's a debate about Goonies, which I find it funny you didn't see it till your 20s, because the debate is Goonies is only good if you saw it as a kid. And if you saw it later, you think it sucks.
Yeah, it was horrible. I was just like, why is this good? That's a problem. I thought Caddyshack really sucked too. I didn't like it.
I liked Caddyshack. I watched it for the first time last year. But I actually think it's cool to not see that many classic movies in a way, because you have so many awesome things still ahead of you. You know what I mean? That are surprises that you don't know what they're going to be, and they're new and great. I'll never see Pulp Fiction for the first time again. I don't know if you've seen it, but you have an amazing movie waiting for you one day. It's awesome in a way. It's you still get that. For me, it's I've seen, so many classic movies that it's to surprise me with something new that kicks ass is harder and harder. And most of the things I watch, I find them to be slogs and a little rough. But now it's for you can go and look at any movie that people love and rave about, and it has a shot to blow you away for the first time. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Pulp Fiction is definitely on the list. I've always thought about getting just one of those generic scratch off posters, just be like, all right, I need to watch these. And with kids, it's difficult because I know Pulp Fiction probably is not the best for my 11 and 2-year-old to watch, but in time, they'll get older. I'll get older. I'll be able to wind down a little bit and watch some more flicks. What have you seen any of these big box office ones in the last year, like Oppenheimer or Barbie, or are you going to see Gladiator this weekend?
We did Oppenheimer on my podcast when it drops. Like, we did a big event and we told listeners of the show, come hang out with us in the theater. We'll hang out. We saw it at an Alamo Draft House on Staten Island. So we were like, come see the movie with us and we'll hang out in the bar after and we'll talk and hang out. And then the next day we did an episode on the movie. So I loved Oppenheimer. I thought it was great. Gladiator, our first episode of the show was Gladiator. So I was trying to get an event like that with Oppenheimer for Gladiator 2 with us, but it's hard for all of us to get together, so it just wasn't meant to be. I definitely want to see Gladiator 2. I'm going to try to do a double feature this weekend if I can, where I see Gladiator 2 and Red 1. I don't care about the order. I try to see as many movies as I can, but like if there was a chart showing movies watched in my life, it would be like up, 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 Baby's Born, and it looks like the Great Depression where it's crashed. And like between all the work I do, I work about 80 hours a week. To find time to relax and watch a movie is extremely difficult. So it's like, and the movies I do end up watching are usually for a podcast I'm as a guest or my show, and I have a notepad in front of me and I'm taking notes. And it's like sometimes I'll enjoy the movie, but I'll never enjoy it as much as when I'm locked in and focused, It's a completely different thing. So I'm a workaholic, and especially with the baby, those midday times when I could just pop a movie on for an hour and a half are done. It's like Elmo's on the TV, Bluey. It's like I could watch Coco. Like I could watch Coco again, like 8 times this week. But
Yeah, I hear you, man. We watched Bluey. Bluey's kind of phasing out a little bit in our house. We've moved on to Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is still a hot choice, but then, I also have a 16-year-old daughter, so I have like 16 years old, 11 years old, and 2. So we're quite the gamut. My daughter and I on the weekends, she's like into the horror movies, so we'll try to watch like a horror movie every weekend if we can. And sometimes they're horrendous, but like we watch all the Scream movies together, watch like the Evil Dead movies together, so that's pretty fun. So as they get older, there is hope.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping to turn my daughter into a cinephile. I think she's very much like me in a lot of ways, which I know it's ridiculous because she's 18 months old, but like she behaves like me, which is weird. Like she likes the foods I like, and she like will get focused on the movie when it's on TV and like kind of zone in on it. And I see a lot of myself in her. So the second she turns 2, which is in May, I'm bringing her to a movie. It's like the thing I'm most excited to do is to bring my daughter to a movie and be like, look, isn't this awesome? And I want that to be our thing, but we have to see. Who knows? Maybe she'll hate movies. It's hard to say.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Best of luck with it. Being a dad is awesome. It's stressful, but it's rewarding and it's amazing. You can't you can't describe it. So kudos to you, man, and all your hard work. The podcast world appreciates it. I know I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming out. I don't want to hang on to you like too much longer. I'm sure you got to work tomorrow. So.
I'm cool. As long as you want to talk, I'm willing to talk. It's fine. It's no big deal for me. I do want to ask you, though, I have a question for you. What's it like having kids with ages so spaced out? Is it weird to have to shift from like because the way you talk to a 16-year-old is different than the way you talk to a 2-year-old. So is it weird for you to kind of like hit those breaks and how you talk and handle things with one?
Kind of. I was pretty young when I was in high school when my daughter was born. So her and
Yeah.
her and I have kind of grown up together, you know, in a sense.
Uh-huh.
And so we're pretty close in that regard. But yeah, like I try to be as consistent as I can. Like, what did I do for my daughter at this age? Because I have my oldest son is 11, and then but it's always like, well, she gets to do this, she gets to do this, and it's like, well, yeah, man, like she's 16, like so it's a little different. And then like yeah, and then you have to shift to the 2-year-old and like he controls the TV a lot of times, and which I get annoys my 11-year-old. Why wouldn't it? Because he wants to watch stuff on the big TV as well. So I mean, I get the frustrations, and it's hard to, I don't know, man. You just kind of do it, I guess. Like when you're in it, you just kind of you understand your kid, their personality, and how they respond to certain things. So you just kind of have to adapt accordingly. My biggest struggle is summers. You know, where I'm blessed to be in a job where I don't have to work in the summers, which is nice. But then, like, how the hell do I keep all these kids busy? Because I can throw the 2-year-old in the stroller and go on a walk for an hour, and he's loving life. And then my 11-year-old is, this is the most boring thing we've ever done. And then I how many times can you go to the same park? How many times can you go to the same this and that? And like towards the end, I was like, oh God, I was like, I just need the next school year to start so I can not have to worry about this. So it's unique. Yeah, it's definitely different, but it works out so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it, so you know that's great. I want more kids, so we only have one right now. But you know, I'm trying to keep them closer in age than that. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was not strategic in the planning at all, and it's just you know, that's just the way the cards kind of fell. But it's nice too. Like, well, the 16-year-old, like if we need to go run somewhere, my wife and I, she can watch the 2-year-old for a little bit, which is really good. And like even watching my 11-year-old interact with my 2-year-old, like he is such a good big brother. He can be such like a little punk sometimes to mom and dad, but like he is like the world's greatest big brother. And I'm looking forward to, like, you know, he's starting to get into, my 11-year-old is getting into like video games. So he's playing Fortnite, he's playing Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff, which is fun. And like I'm excited for like my youngest to kind of start growing up, and then like he starts picking something up that like his older brother is doing, and like hopefully they can like kind of he can teach him the ways and stuff like that. So it's cool to watch them interact, because they really, and they kind of like take on their own role. My 16-year-old is like, yeah, she loves her little brother, he's 2, but she also enjoys sleeping until 1 in the afternoon on the weekends, where, you know, little guy is up at 6 and he's ready to roll. So it's it's interesting to watch, and it's entertaining.
She's 16. She's getting ready to start that more adult social life at 18. You know, it's like she wants to party with her friends. You know, the 11-year-old's probably flossing around the house doing Fortnite dances.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
You know?
Yeah.
I teach middle through high school, so I'm around them. You know, I know how it goes, and the baby is just, you know, being a 2-year-old, being nuts.
Yeah, it's wild, but it's you know, it is my life, and it's all I know, and I'm pretty lucky to have 3 really good kids that are healthy and smart and doing good stuff.
It seems great, you know. I'm happy for you, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good, and we'll be. It's crazy to think of, like, what was I doing when I was 16? I'm like, ugh. I know what I was doing at 16, and now like I was like, my daughter better not be doing any of these things at 16. But she's very school driven, very sports driven. So she's really active on cross country, and she's like gone to the state tournaments and stuff already at her age, which is really impressive. So she takes that pretty seriously. So thankfully she found something that she's like, no, I can't be messing around with all this other stuff. So dad doesn't have to worry too much about it, but of course it's always in the back of your mind.
It has to be, you know. You remember what it was like.
Yeah, gosh.
Right. It's like
and it's funny. Like, I think when I was a kid, I was like, my parents have no idea what life was like, and it's like, you know, I'm sure your daughter thinks the same thing as you. It's like, it's not that long ago. It's not like I was a baby with no memory. Like, I remember the things I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And too, like, oftentimes I was like, shit, yeah, mom and dad were right about some things that and like, you know, when I was 16, I was like, yeah, these guys are idiots, and they'll never get my situation or whatever. And it's like, maybe they understood a little bit more than I thought. So it's, you know, as the Lion King would say, it's the circle of life, and then one day we'll all be dead. No.
Yep. Hopefully not too soon. Hopefully more time, because I need to see a Jets Super Bowl.
So
Oh yeah. I would gladly love to see another Packers Super Bowl as well. And all that, but yeah, best of luck to the Jets. I don't think it's happening this year. Devontae Adams couldn't save you either.
It ain't happening this year. It ain't happening next year. I'm gonna tell you, they are not gonna make the playoffs for the next 5 years. It's gonna be a 19 or 20 year drought before they are in a playoff game again.
Well, even, you know, I think this is Rodgers' probably last year. I would think maybe he'll hang on for another year, but
I think he'll play another year, but not with the Jets.
yeah. Well, then the Jets are screwed because they have like, what was it, a $40 million cap, just because of it.
Dead cap hit, yeah. I don't know how the cap hit shit works, because it seems like some teams get out of it and some don't. But, you know, I'm already giving up on next year. Like, this year's over, next year's over, and 3 years after that are over. It's like, come back in 2019. Maybe you'll, like, forget even winning. I just want to watch a fucking fun football team. They've played shit football for 20 years almost.
Yeah, I mean, that was my year last year with the Packers, because I was like, it's Jordan Love's first year, you know, starting. It's not gonna, and it did not start well. But then all of a sudden, there's this momentum, and then they made it pretty far in the playoffs when they weren't even projected to make the playoffs. And again, like, you get that glimmer of hope, and then the 49ers strip it away once again. But hopefully this year, the Vikings are looking pretty good. The Lions are pretty solid as well. So we got some tough teams in our division.
You got to just hope that you don't play the Niners. They're your kryptonite, you know? Because every year they just find a way to stop you guys somehow. Like, they did it to Rodgers a million times. They're just your kryptonite. It's weird how it happens that way consistently, but that's how it goes.
That is how it goes. I mean, we always beat the Bears, or at least we have in the last 5-6 years. So, which is a beautiful thing. So yeah, man. I'm gonna cut it off. I gotta go take care of the kid here. He's not falling asleep. But I appreciate you hopping on. Everyone, go check out the show. Get the Black Friday stuff. Support indie podcast. And Brian, I wish you best of luck. And anytime you want to hop on, just let me know.
All right, thank you. Reviewing History Pod, Bandcamp.com, file Reviewing History. Buy the new album Black Friday. This Ain't No Whack Christmas is last year. This year is the Christmas Freak Off. Follow Reviewing History everywhere. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, thank you, man.